everyone, and welcome to another live episode of the Rocky Mountain Cigar Show here within the Smokin' Studios. The boys are back tonight, everybody, so that's done with me and my intro. We're going to go ahead and bring everybody on the show. How you doing, Kevin and Kerr? It's great to actually have both of you guys on together. Kevin, you're always so kind. You're always so kind to invite me onto your show, and so it's awesome to have both of you guys on tonight. And how are both of you?
Good. I want to correct you. It's not my show. It's our show.
Our show. Sorry.
Yeah.
The Kevin cares.
Kevin has 51% of the vote because I always vote not to have you on, but Kevin always wins.
Well, okay. Looks like Kerr's feed's about to go out.
Yeah.
You're breaking up.
Are you going through a tunnel? I think you are.
That's the good thing about OBS. I could just fade you out.
That's all right. It's like everyone else in my life. Just fade me out.
Yeah.
So how are you all doing tonight? What's everybody smoking here? Let's jump into the What Are We Smoking Tonight segment and kind of kick off the show here. So Kev, we'll start with you. What are you smoking?
I am smoking something from Imami Cigars.
Oh.
I'm not quite sure which one it is. It had like a yellow footband. So
Imami.
But Imami.
Great cigars. Great guy.
Great.
Oh my god.
Great cigars. Great guy. Great story. So for sure.
Kerr, what about you?
I broke something out tonight for a special occasion, and it is the
the vice versa.
The vice versa.
There's the full side, and then there is the medium side.
Yeah,
Nice.
better than Mr. Punch's wiener.
Mr. Punch's wiener ain't got nothing on this vice versa. But I think what I'm going to do tonight is I think I'm going to do what I like doing all the time. It's cutting it in half and smoking half and half.
And have two cigars.
Exactly.
Nice.
That's how I roll.
Very nice. Very nice. Well, tonight I am smoking. I have no idea what it is, other than it's one of the Lanceros that they give out for Micallef events when Al or Amanda or Dan show up. They were kind enough to send over a couple, knowing I'm a Lancero whore. And it's a really good one. It's really, really good. So thank you very much, Steve, for sponsoring the What Are You Smoking Tonight segment. Now, I rushed through that because it got me very important information to talk about. And that is the fact that Kevin thinks that Beetlejuice 2 was equivalent to the first Beetlejuice. So, Kev, I will give you the floor to explain yourself.
And
I don't have to. If you've seen the movie, there is no explanation. Beetlejuice 2 was
got a lot to explain,
just as good. I like how they killed the dad because they couldn't bring him back because of all the improprieties. That he.
In fact,
You know,
he's in prison too.
Yeah. Is he in prison?
I think he
thought
still is.
Was he?
I thought he. I thought he died for some reason.
But, he got caught.
He got caught and sent to jail.
Yeah.
Some sensitive stuff, man. It was not good.
You can't. Do
Yeah,
that.
I like how they killed him in the movie though. Got eaten by a shark, so that was pretty fucking good. Yeah, I dug it. It was a good movie, and I'm sticking by it.
So let me ask you this then. Let me ask you this: if the first never existed, but they only made the second,
it'd be one of the greatest.
Would that be the greatest one for you?
Oh yeah, but it would be that kind of a
kind of a difficult question, but they didn't really reference a lot of the original. It was kind of its own story.
It was its own story, but you wouldn't you'd had too many questions, like what was going on, like the house and why they came back and everything else. So it wouldn't have made as much sense.
Nah, not a fan. I mean, it wasn't a bad movie, but I wouldn't say it was better.
Yeah, I like Jenna Ortega too. So I mean, I think she's a good actress, and I loved her in Wednesday. I think Wednesday is probably one of the best series that's been on TV in a very long time. As a remake of like something that we knew as kids, the Addams Family.
But it's not a remake per se. I mean,
not a remake per se.
It's kind of building on that character, and I watched some of the first season with Jennifer, and it was okay. I couldn't get into it. She's a bigger fan, but I'm gonna try and give it a second chance because I'll do that if I'm on the fence with a show or something like that. I give it a little give it a second chance. Some shows need more time to develop than others.
Yeah, and I heard they just greenlit Fester for his own show.
As in Fred
Uncle Fester.
Armisen, as in
Yeah,
Fred
Fred
Armisen?
Armisen.
Like
Yeah.
the Fester from Wednesday.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't like him. I don't like Fred Armisen.
He's
Oh,
hit or
I
miss
love
for
him.
me. He's hit or miss for me.
Yeah.
Oh, he's hit or miss as an actor for me, but I think he's a fantastic Fester. I think he embodied.
I haven't seen
Fester.
the second season, and Fester wasn't in a lot of the first season, so
Yeah.
He's a big part of season 2.
okay.
Interesting.
I thought the first season was great, but to your point though, Kerr, House of Guinness was one of those shows I had to watch like 4 episodes to get into.
You see,
It was a little slow.
And for me, I jumped. I was able to hop right into it. The series right now and I thought it was a great series. The series that we're watching now that took a little bit extra time to get into it is Black Rabbit.
Oh yeah, I gotta watch that.
It's the first. I think we thought we were 3 or 4 episodes in, and we were like 3/4 through the first episode. That's how long it was kind of dragging out, and then it picks up in the second episode, and it's starting to get better now. So it's starting to get more interesting. I gotta tell you, the series we just finished watching is the Devil in Disguise, the John Wayne Gacy series that's on. That was really disturbing and good. It was.
Yeah, I still haven't seen the Ed Gein series.
I know. Neither have I. We've got we got it queued up, and
terrible. If you know anything about Ed Gein, and you watch that series, the first 5 episodes are pretty decent. They're okay. It's just it in my opinion, I just really disliked it.
Really?
Yeah.
Just, was it because of the accuracy of it? Or
The accuracy of it that it get. I mean, and listen, they're going to take some liberties, right?
Of course.
And there's going to be some creative embellishments. I get that.
Of
But this really, in my opinion, took it to the level where it was unbelievable. Some of the stuff, Then I like the fact that they tied in some things with the movies that were inspired by him. But I honestly just kind of felt like, I'm not going to say too much about it if you guys want to watch it. But in my opinion, I thought they just went a little too overboard with some of the liberties, and wasn't a fan of that.
Well, it's a Ryan Murphy. It was never supposed to be. I don't think it was supposed to be like an act. I think it was always supposed to be like a Hollywood portrayal of it, more so than the accuracy of it.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. It was. They do all those monster series, and I don't know. I thought the Devil in Disguise was done exceptionally well. And it was just the way they told the storyline and everything was really good. It was
Now,
very great.
have you guys been able to see the John Candy documentary?
Oh, is it finally out? I was
Not yet.
Oh, okay.
Oh my God! No, it is out.
Yeah,
It's
it
out
is.
on
it?
Prime.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I haven't got
it
a chance to
is.
watch it yet.
It is unbelievably greatly put together. First off, I didn't realize his backstory. I won't give anything away, but it is really well done. One of the things I did really love about it is they touched on alcohol and food, but they didn't focus on it. So it wasn't like during this dark time he was drinking. It was kind of like said in passing and jest. It wasn't like a focal point. Because he was a huge drinker, huge partier.
Yeah.
But I love the fact that they didn't make it like anything other than kind of like a blurb in the documentary. It was really well done.
I saw they talked about what movie was that where he was Was it Splash or when he was playing
Yeah.
racquetball?
Yes, Splash.
And they said he showed up like
Hammered.
hungover and have like sweating, and they said he actually he did when he hit the ball and it bounced back and hit him in the head. He did that
Yeah.
to himself on purpose, and then because and the scene, and then he freaking got out of. He was done for the day.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, they said it was definitely a hilarious guy taken far too soon.
Yes,
Yeah.
no, he was and we talked about some of his flops, but obviously it focused on, Plagues Trains, Uncle Buck. I didn't realize this, but Uncle Buck was actually written for him. John
Oh, well, sure.
Hughes and him, their families vacation together like multiple times a year. And John Hughes and John Candy were like best friends in reality. And John Hughes wrote Uncle Buck with the understanding that John Candy was Uncle Buck the whole time.
Oh man.
That makes it much better because now like he actually John Candy put his spin on it too,
Yeah, I think my favorite. It's got to be The Great Outdoors. It's got to be my favorite, just because of Dan Aykroyd as well. They played two great roles in.
Oh yeah,
but yeah, the Great Outdoors.
I like when he makes those cameos, like in Home Alone.
Yeah,
when they're hitchhiking, he's like, "Hey, we had some hits back in the day. We're polka, polka, rock, polka. You don't remember that song? Hanging out in the back of a fucking van.
Oh, it's so funny. Those are so
polka. No, not ringing a bell. No,
not ringing a bell. Then he starts singing that polka.
Yeah, it was our biggest album. We sold 172 albums back in the 70s.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, Sheboygan.
Sheboygan. Yeah, real big in Sheboygan.
Sheboygan. I like what's his face is like that. I mean, I think John Candy's way more talented, but I think Will Ferrell for me is another one where his movies when he's starring the role, it's hit or miss.
I agree.
Yeah. Like Step Brothers, Talladega Nights are great. Then he did the Sherlock Holmes movie. It's terrible. And Sherlock Holmes.
I didn't know he did a Sherlock Holmes movie.
Him and
he played Watson, didn't he?
No, him and what's his name? Who did Step Brothers together? He did Sherlock Holmes.
Oh yeah, you're right. That was so. I didn't even.
He did a movie
remember that.
Holmes and Watson. It was terrible.
Oh, I don't remember that.
But you see, when Will Ferrell does a cameo in a movie,
his
like
best
the Wedding
Crashers,
hilarious.
Yes.
But if you ever see the movie Drowning Mona, Kevin, I know you and I've talked about this. Fuck the great cast. First of all, it's a great cast and a great movie. And he plays this. His cameos. He plays a mortician, and he's got this horrible comb over, and he's really freaking creepy. He's like answers the door in his underwear.
Yeah,
it's just.
What was the college movie where it was the
Old School?
Old
School.
Old School. So Frank the Tank. So he wasn't. That was the Red Dragon. She ain't even taken the restrictor plate. He's not quite street legal, so keep that on the.
That had Vince Vaughn. That had a great.
But that wasn't. He was more of a supporting role.
Yeah.
Let's say another one of those where he wasn't the star, but there were so many great moments with him in it.
But he's just, I mean, even now.
Like to his point though, like it's kind of like he does better. Not as the main, like Anchorman 2 was awful. The first Anchorman was great.
Yeah,
it was okay. It was 2 was okay, but number 1, there's just a million one-liners from number 1.
Oh yeah, it's an optical illusion of the pants.
70% of the time it works.
100% of the time.
Yeah. Well, that doesn't make any sense at all.
I'm not gonna lie; it smells like pure gasoline.
That's it.
Well, it's not only that though. In that movie, I love watching the outtakes too because those guys are all funny together.
I know.
Shit. But yeah, I mean, he's Anchorman's another Anchorman 2. Like you said, Kevin, it's an okay movie. I mean, it's not great.
So I was,
but now he's apologizing for what some of the roles that he played on Saturday Night Live when he dressed up like who was the Secretary of State? Who was it?
He did.
What's her
She was
name?
the big woman. It's
John Goodman played her one time.
Oh yeah, John Goodman did play her too.
That was the best skit
Oh,
for her.
and Goodman played. Was it Linda?
Oh, Linda Tripp. That's
Linda
right.
Tripp.
Linda Tripp.
Linda
That's who.
Tripp.
That's who he
That's
played.
right.
Linda
That's
Tripp.
when he's on. He's on the phone with Monica Lewinsky, and he goes behind the thing. And he's taking a shit.
Yeah.
That's when Saturday Night Live was funny.
I love people been blasting on Hillary because about what Trump's doing to like your house, and people are like, do you know what your husband did in our house? You know,
to the Oval Office.
That was, yeah, she regretted. I guarantee she regretted sending that tweet. And well, you know what your husband did in our house.
She should just, these. If you're an old president or president's wife, just leave. Just stop. Just stop talking.
Yeah.
Like you've had your time. Speaking of politics, to get into this just a little bit, because I'm curious to hear what both of y'all think. What's your take on 100% tariff Nicaragua?
So we talked about that last night.
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit. I thought it was a bad thing, and until Risty made his point, from JSK Cigars, if that's what it takes to stop the human trafficking, the atrocities that's going on, the child labor, and he goes, and none of this is, and he said this, none of this is in the cigar industry, but when you take the country as a whole, and he's like, if this what's it take, or if it, what's it take to make a change in the country, he's for it. And I'm like, I read that and I'm like, all right, I kind of agree with that. It's we can't think about just our one little sector of what we like.
But I kind of feel like
you can't make a carve out for cigars as especially when we're talking, it's a major, it's a major moneymaker for the country.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like cigars is yet again shit on by default with this, because I don't know what else Nicaragua really imports to the U.S. I'll be honest with you, I don't. As far as I'm concerned, the number one U.S. import for them is probably cigars.
Probably, I mean, maybe
coffee. But I
Yeah.
mean, there's so many other countries for coffee.
Right.
Yeah. And there's so many other countries for cigars. And we got Honduras, we got the DR, Costa Rica, Brazil, not as big, obviously, but the only saving grace we got on that is, there's a lot of people in Marco Rubio's ear. Marco Rubio is a staunch supporter of cigars because he's from Florida, so he did everything he could to help save the cigar industry from when he was in the Senate or Congress or whatever. So that's the only thing. There's got to be people in his ear because he's made so many contacts in the cigar industry, and maybe he's got the president's ear on that and be like, hey, we can't do this. Like this is not good.
I forgot about this, and I can't believe that I didn't even think about this when we talked about. I just looked it up. What are their major imports? Right, tobacco products, cigars primarily is the biggest one in the U.S. Right, $400 million a year. Meat,
as in like just beef, or is it just
because and when we were down in Florida, were a number of Nicaraguan steakhouses.
Yeah.
And you talk about some of these, these farms, and the cows they have, and the bulls, the beef that they have is amazing. All the different apparel, clothing, coffee is third with not even a dollar amount next to it. It's tobacco, 400 million, meat at 346 million, and then clothing and apparel at 331 million.
I know the tariffs on meat or on beef cattle have really helped the U.S. Beef farmers. They're just now, or they're doing the best they've ever done in like 20 or 30 years.
Not the consumer though.
And I'm not the consumer, but I know President Trump was he was talking about easing some of the restrictions on, was it Brazil, importing Brazilian beef to help Brazil or Costa Rica. I can't remember which one it was. I think it's Brazil, to help the Brazilian government out, is importing more beef cattle. And then the beef farmers here, are like, oh, hey, we're just now starting to do good. And you kind of want to water down the market a little bit, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's Argentina.
oh, is it Argentina
I
is
think
what it
so.
was?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, he was, and I remember them talking about all the different farmers are pissed off here in the states because um, he wants to import more Argentinian beef.
Yeah, because a lot of times the beef from other countries and even the fruits and vegetables from other countries don't get, from what I've read, don't get the scrutiny that our farmers have to face, when they're slaughtering cows and
Hmm.
getting beef to market. The USDA has a lot more restrictions on us than they do of the stuff that's coming in.
Yeah, yeah.
But see, like, my problem with tariffs is it eventually turns into what we have with sugar. Do you know that US is, like, by far leaps and bounds the most expensive country for sugar?
Yeah.
Because of our tariffs, our protectionist policies that make sugar. That's one of the reasons why, what was it, Nabisco went to Mexico about a decade, 12 years ago, was the cost of sugar, the high rising cost of sugar. So eventually you create a barrier around a product that just becomes so overinflated and so super expensive that now, look, because of the growth in expensive sugar, we have corn syrup is also a byproduct of growing too much corn. But
Hmm.
my issue is tariffs don't really benefit or really hurt the country they're trying to tariff as much, because it's not that country that pays that tariff. It's the consumer that buys the product that pays 100% of that tariff. And then
Yeah.
it's an artificially inflated market too,
Yeah,
because
you got some of these companies are just going to have to eat it. Look at Walmart. Walmart is eating $4 billion this year, and you know what?
okay,
Fuck, fuck,
Espinosa just eat the tariffs?
yeah, I know. Yeah, you're right on that.
General's the only company
Yeah,
that could probably successfully eat the tariffs, and I think it would even
you
be
know,
much for them.
but we're all, I mean, we're also, I mean, we're cigar smokers, but we're also talking about luxury items. Sugar's
Hmm.
bad. Sugar's bad for us. It's going to kill. It's why countries are banning it and limiting it. It's going to kill you. Tobacco's not the greatest thing for you. Alcohol's not the greatest thing for you. So, yeah, I mean, it kind of sucks that that those are the things that we enjoy. We're going to have to pay a little bit more, but and those are generally smaller companies, which sucks.
What are your thoughts on? I've seen some folks have announced or start talking about increasing their prices on their cigars that are coming out of countries like Dominican Republic or Honduras, where the tariff is 10%. I mean, do you think that's justified?
No,
I
I think they should be. I think they should be eating it to a
I
certain. But I say that as in someone that imports a very very tiny amount of cigars. So yes.
see, even a 10% tariff though, like, in my perfect world, okay, I believe in free trade. I don't believe in tariffs. Um, you know, even the 10% tariff, like, it's not fair that the company now has to pay that tariff. And if they decide to swallow that tariff, that comes out of their profits.
Yeah.
Eventually that hurts the company. If too long or too big and can't sustain, then they have to pass it on. Now there are some, first off, I don't believe a single company ever that says, "Oh, we're absorbing the tariffs." No, you're not. You're cutting costs somewhere down the line
Yeah.
to make
Yeah.
that call.
Yeah.
So that's first off a spin, right? That's not reality. Anytime there's a cost, there's always a pass, or there's a reduction somewhere to avoid that additional cost. Would you say that's correct?
Yeah, I would say it's correct. I think they do write down a certain amount of it. I mean, they do absorb it. Like Walmart, writing down $4 billion on, $750 billion. They probably passed on. And what if they wrote down $4 billion, they figured out how to save 5 billion, 10 billion somewhere else along that chain. So you're right on that. I think they do absorb a certain amount,
a percentage or two, yeah. But see,
Yeah.
the downside of tariffs is, and if you ever listen to Milton Friedman talk about tariffs,
Love Milton Friedman.
I've listened to every one of his lectures. I don't know how many times, a ton. One of the things that he points out is, if you take a $10, and I'm going to use a different analogy. If you take a $10 shirt at Walmart that's made in the U.S. and an $8 shirt that's made in some other country, you then tariff the country that makes that $8 shirt. Say it adds $4 to it, making the U.S. shirt now the cheapest. All you did was artificially inflate the U.S. shirt market to where, when that tariff goes away, all those people are going to lose their jobs potentially. Because now that shirt, when the tariff goes down or goes away, is now $8. Nobody's going to be buying the $10 shirt as much as the $8 shirt anymore. So essentially, you artificially inflated a certain aspect of the economy for a short period of time that created a bunch of jobs. And then eventually, when that tariff goes away, what happens to those jobs? What happens to that company, to those people? And tariffs only really hurt the lower income economy, in the sense that they're the ones that can't afford the additional increase on the good.
I think what it does also is it evens the playing field. I mean, look at how many dozens of countries that have given us concessions, on tariff. Hey, we don't want that 50%. We want to go back to we'll never go back to our 10%, but we'll take the 15%. But then we're gonna knock down. We used to tariff soybeans and cars and everything else. We used to tariff you 25%. Now we're only going to tariff you. We're going to match you at your 15%. So I think it works in that way. So it.
I think that's one of the original intents too, right, Kev? I mean,
I think that was the original intent. Yes.
It's multiple reasons. There's that, right? I mean, you figure if we're exporting our goods and they're imposing a large tariff on the goods that are being imported to their country, so that's going to impact its price, obviously, and it may even impact the amount of the products that you're exporting. But then some countries, like with China, or whomever, where they're like, listen,
China,
you're stealing our technology. B, you're really facilitating the shipment of fentanyl and other, all the different I won't say customized, illegal pharmaceutical drugs that come into the country that you could buy online or are made in China. You need to go there, buy Viagra for 50 cents a pop. I mean, they're made in China. You don't know what's in them. Trying to deter them from jumping in and creating this numerous violations that are being sent into the country, or we impose tariffs on countries like Iran, or actually probably blockade, wrong example, or even Russia, to try and push them to a speedy end to a war. So I mean, even Reagan, who I know you see all the different audios and stuff, and you read about what Reagan's thoughts on tariffs, he still used them. He used them appropriately.
Yeah, but the point of the tariff should eventually be to make it go away. Use the tariff in a way to eventually make it go away.
Yeah, they didn't have taxes. They just used tariffs, and that's how they pay for shit until they realized they could just tax us workers.
Yeah,
that's true. I mean, we didn't even have income tax until after World War II.
Yeah.
Or at least income tax as we have it now.
Yeah.
Where they take it out of income tax originally, with I think 1913 is when the income tax went in. J.P. Morgan was, I think, one of the designers of that, if I'm correct. And then
and how did we pay for everything before that? Tariffs.
Yeah, I'm saying. And you figure during that time, World War I, World War II, primarily, there was a lot that was being implemented in order, to pay for things and make up for things during that time. I mean, there's a lot of money being spent to go to war, and like anything else that the government implements, to your point, Ryan, if the idea behind tariffs is to implement them and eventually remove them, the idea of income tax was to tax during wartime and create additional surplus for the government so we could pay for the war. After the war, one would think that it would be time for the income tax to go away, and it didn't. It's once the government kind of once they start getting money, they don't like stopping it.
well, you guys know what the first 3 jobs of any ABC government company is, right? I say company
No.
because they're companies. Is to
Mm-hmm.
self-preservation, and task
Yeah.
4, 5, and 6 is maybe to get to what they were actually set up for.
Yeah.
But I mean, even before after World War II, Milton Friedman actually apologizes about this, but he talks about how he was on one of the committees to actually go after the money pre getting it to the citizen. So tax your check. Before that, it was you filled out like a note card and you sent in your taxes every year. I wish it was still that, because I personally think a lot more people would be pissed off if they had to write a check every year. I don't know about you. As a business owner,
yeah.
Kevin, you know what that feels like, and so do you, Kerr, to write that check either quarterly or yearly, however you guys do it.
I do. I do it yearly. I really don't make enough to justify doing it quarterly. So my accountant says, yeah, just do it yearly. It's not a big deal. But yeah, I just do it yearly. I pay my taxes and suck it up. I'm
Yeah.
thankful enough that I've made money people always say, oh, you got to show a loss for 5 years. Yeah. You want to get audited? That's the quickest way to get fucking audited. I've never shown a loss ever. From day one, I've always shown a profit, and I don't fuck around with the government. But yeah, until we get rid of sales tax, we're getting more and more. See, even President Trump, man, the flat tax, the fair tax is what they call it, because the flat tax got such a bad name. Fair tax, it's the only way. To tax me 20% on everything, I'm fine with that.
100%. And I would be more even content to say have only a sales tax, have only a VAT tax, and no income tax, no nothing else.
That's what they want. They just all you have is a fair tax, and that's it.
Yeah.
And then it makes everybody pay taxes. Nothing irritates me more, than just, I don't know, as a business owner, seeing all these other people with their side hustle. That's the term in 2024 and 2025. Hot side hustle. What's your side hustle? Your side hustle is not paying fucking taxes. That's what your side hustle is. You give all of us a bad name. It sucks. It's irritating. But yeah, you get rid of the sales or the federal tax. Yeah, and everybody pays.
And I think everybody thinks that's unfair, because then what you do is the people who are low income, who aren't paying a lot of taxes, now are burdened with paying, sales tax when they want to buy things. So
yeah, you just don't buy things. It's people freaking out. When the IRS and said, Venmo, PayPal, Cash App, that anything over like $600, $800, they're going to start taxing all that, and people are freaking out. And it's like, oh, my friend sends me money for rent. I don't know, just keep track of your invoices, your receipts.
Don't buy stuff. And we got some milk. Milk's got 20% tax. You don't need fucking milk.
Well, fortunately, I don't know how Florida is or the Carolinas, but fortunately in Colorado, there is no sales tax on food.
Yeah, same here. But on a fair tax
system, they don't want to
system,
tax people and all that weed, and they get the munchies and they want to eat everything.
I genuinely think it has more to do with the EBT card side, because they don't want to tax the EPT, so it's easier just to not tax everybody on food. than it is to tax the EBT, I think.
Yeah, but that goes away in our fair tax system. Everything is taxed. Food is taxed. Merchandise.
I'm
Everything.
okay with food not being taxed on a sales tax.
I agree with that.
I'm
I think
okay with food.
On a fair tax system, I'd be okay for food not being taxed, or that food having the lowest tax. If you got to put something on it, a 1%, a 1%. I'm fine. I'm fine with that.
$1 per 100. I don't think that's going to break anyone too much.
No.
Yeah.
I just the whole system when you start, you mentioned EBT and you see that, and, Medicaid utilization, and then it's and I used to laugh. I when I was in Farmer, I'd pull into a Medicaid clinic, and I'd pull into the parking lot, and I was like, and I was using my own car at the time. I'm like, I got the shittiest car here.
Yeah. I saw it for people say the abuse doesn't happen, and I've seen it firsthand. Like when I first started dating Jessica, she lived in a beautiful apartment complex. She had a 4-bedroom apartment, and then it was like slowly started going Section 8. So by the time I met her, like some of the apartments were still non-Section 8, some were Section 8, and then I would just see the people that were the undocumented people that had 6, 8, 10 kids, and talking with them and just talking just learning about like the amount of money that they get per kid, and then they get free rent while Jessica's paying $1,500 a month, $1,600 a month,
subsidizing that rent.
Yeah. And then she's got to pay full price because she's a single mom with 2 kids that have disabilities, but she's still because she made whatever it was $42,000 a year. She was rich, she didn't get anything, and but yeah, then everybody else that didn't work got everything. So I mean, she lived it firsthand.
Yeah.
I saw it firsthand, and
that happened to Jennifer. Jennifer, when Joseph got sick, you're a single mom and your son gets leukemia. But luckily, thank God, she works for a great organization that was like, listen, we're going to work with you, right? And she was there for a while, and she's still there. And they all rallied around her. She got to work her hours, but her hours reduced tremendously. And at some point, since Joseph being sick and her income level, he was able to get some benefits, right? As soon as you're that first wave of treatment, like when you're first diagnosed, and that basically like the first 6 months of his treatment are pretty intense. And as you start to get support and help to come watch, and you can go back to work, it was like his benefits went away because now you're making more money. And you're sitting there thinking, well, hold on, he's not less sick, just because you crested that extra $1,000 a year, doesn't mean that all of a sudden, you're fucking, starting to put in golden toilets into the house.
Yeah.
It's pretty pathetic, and I've also seen the whole, someone who I know is like, they both, her and her husband were working. I think they may have had a combined income of like maybe $30-some thousand, and it's like, well, yeah, I'm getting, I got my tax returns, and we're going to go to Florida, and we're taking the kids down to Disney World, and then I'm going to get a tattoo, and then I'm going to get a new iPhone, I'm going to get a new laptop, and I'm going, well, how much you get back? It's like, oh, we got like $9,000 back. I go, oh, so you overpaid $9,000? No, we get all these benefits. We get this, we get this, we get that, and I'm sitting there going, okay, I'm balancing my taxes where my dad always taught me, balance it where you especially, but this is in Pennsylvania, your state, it was like freaking, if you breathe, they tax you, but you had your local taxes, your state taxes, and then your federal taxes. Every once in a while, you'd have a municipal tax too, but you want to be able to kind of, you want to be able to break even, so I always ended up like, owing state like 500, and I get back 500 from federal, so I was just able to break even. You don't want the government taking too much of your taxes, but if you have good write-offs and stuff, and you have someone who's doing your taxes, or you know how to do your taxes, and you're able to write off some things. But that's also kind of, I think overstated, or kind of exaggerated a little bit on what you can write off and how much you can write off, especially if you have like a home office. It's like, oh, you can write that off. It's like, you got to go through in order to
Now you
figure
do,
out what your
yeah,
home
because
fucking
the
office is?
itemized
Yeah,
deductions they went
it's
up.
like,
this whole lounge, 550 square feet of a write-off every year.
Yeah.
right,
Yeah,
right,
but
yeah.
that's my business though. That's
right,
but yeah,
right.
But
But it's like, if I, I have a home office, I work from home. I have a home office, and you can sit
Yeah.
down to talk about writing off, but it's just not as simple as just,
You-
checking the box.
yeah, you got to have enough itemizations to
Yeah.
even hit the number now, because that whole thing changed.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I don't have enough. I overpay. I'm one of those guys, because I work on so much of my check is commission. I overpay because I would rather never have an issue and get money back.
But they always take
Yeah.
more money out. They always take more money out of. I mean, I got commission. They always take more money out of
It's like
commission, too.
45, 50%. It's nuts.
50. It's like,
sick.
hey,
It's
a
sick.
$10,000 commission check. I'm like, I'm gonna get 5.
Yeah.
They take 50% every fucking
It's
time.
sick.
Yeah.
It's sick.
Yeah. I've got a couple of friends. I used to do their
Hey,
taxes for
Richard.
them way back in the day, but like they overpay every week on their paycheck because they want, not that
Hell
they
is
just
that?
wanted to. Yeah, I know. Same. I'm hearing it too.
I know. It's like it's a madhouse in here. Right? It's 8:47, and it's Jennifer's got some freaking. I think Trump's got locked in on you. Must think you're a freaking drug smuggling boat. He's getting ready to freaking hellfire you.
Yeah. But yeah, so I got friends that overpay every week, and that is their vacation money. They don't like they can't put the money away in a savings account each week because it's too tempting to use it. So they make good money. It's not like they don't get $10,000 back because of whatever they get, because that's what they overpaid.
Yeah,
So
I got $12K last year because I overpaid.
Yeah, so when they overpay, or they do overpay and they get that check, that's literally what they take their family vacation on, because they just can't, because if that money sits in a checking account or a savings account and something happens, it's just too easy to go, oh, hey, we got some money in there, let's just use that, so, which I understand.
No, absolutely. I just really hope that the tariff thing with Nicaragua doesn't get dirty, messy, and very long, because again, that's just another thing to point to that the tobacco world is or the cigar world's being screwed over on, because that's not going to.
We're collateral damage, really, at this point. I mean, when you actually, I won't say that. Just looking at the imports of Nicaragua, we're the byproduct of the tariff trying to initiate change in the country, and it just happens that tobacco, especially cigars, are the number one biggest import in the country.
Yeah.
So I correct myself. We're not a collateral damage. We're freaking
with the damage.
We're the number. I mean, it's because we were talking about it last night. It's like, well, could they make an exception? It's like, well, then they're
trying to.
But what you're going to do is you're going to make an exception for the number one freaking most imported freaking product in the country. It's a luxury item, and it's a big moneymaker for them. They're going to be like, no, that doesn't make sense. It's counterintuitive and counterproductive for what you're trying to.
Yeah, if you want to implement
from the taxing or the tariff.
Yeah, if you want to implement regime change due to that tariff, and the number one export of that country is going to be exempt, what incentive is there for any type of regime change?
I mean, it could have been like Kennedy, where as soon as right before we levied the all of the sanctions on Cuba, he just brought in several thousand Cuban cigars, and then he signed the paperwork.
Well, so but isn't coffee a luxury item?
It is, but it's not even when I looked up the top import.
But it's only a $40 million difference. I thought you said it was like $350.
No, coffee wasn't. Coffee didn't even. I think it was. Coffee
No,
didn't
it was
even fully register.
it was beef that was
It was
closed.
beef.
Oh, it
Beef,
was beef.
beef was close, and then clothing, cheap clothing, was third. Coffee was like fourth, and just didn't even have a number on it.
Well, I asked this because I actually saw. I'm not going to necessarily call this person out, but I saw some
Why
stuff.
not?
Okay, well, Daniel Lance from Domain Cigars, he was talking about how that it's actually working conditions aren't as bad as everybody says. He's been living there, I guess, for 6 years, and he's saying that everyone's paid really well. He's been inspected 3 or 4 times this year already by the Nicaraguan government. He's never once been inspected his warehouse here in the States by US government. So he was kind of offering a counterpoint to where it's not in the cigar world is only what he was speaking to from what I
Yes,
understand.
that's what Risty said the same thing. Like in the cigar world, like
So then why
none of
not
this
why punish the cigars if the cigar world is not operating in that way?
because you're trying to punish the rest of the the government for treating everybody. I mean, yeah, I mean
Yeah.
you're the cigar workers are still are still paid well for a third world country citizen, but like the uprising a couple of years ago with taking away their retirement or the large chunk of it. You still got the human trafficking, the drugs, and everything else. That's what we're trying
Yeah.
to hurt. So
It's not like when they were trying to impose the oversight and regulations on tobacco. That was direct. Cigars. That was directly trying to that would cripple and impact the cigar industry based off of them overstepping the regulations and basically putting cigars in the same category as cigarettes, which was not. It wasn't a comparison. And that's what the
No.
fight was about. This is something different. It's based off of the the country itself. It just so happens that their biggest if their biggest import was milk, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
yeah,
We'd be bitching about milk being more expensive, and now we're going to start drinking almond milk, or maybe reduce our milk intake because milk's not that important. If the biggest import was something else, or even clothing, well, that's fine. I'll freaking I'll buy my clothing elsewhere. That's not Nicaraguan T-shirts.
I don't know
But
that I've ever, like, I agree with Bruce. I don't know that I've ever seen on any of my clothes made in
I don't.
Nicaragua.
I don't think so either. I think
I
we
don't
get the
know.
majority of our clothes from Mexico and China.
I don't know. So here,
But
made Nicaragua.
Yeah.
I'm laughing though when you said almond milk because there was that popular meme that went around several years ago when the whole vegan thing started taking. It was like an almond bent over with nipples and somebody milked
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. People, will say every now, you see the price of milk lately? No idea. I just put it in my cart and keep shopping. Don't care what it is.
Okay, so then let me ask you guys this. You guys both have families. You got families still in the house. Kerr, do you still have kids in the house?
No. I mean, when they're home from college or Wyatt's here, he's someone consider a 6'1", 260-pound 17-year-old as a kid.
Yeah, you're well that's a tough one. That's like feeding a Great
Yeah.
Dane.
It is. It's exactly. When Joe here, Joe's tiny, but he freaking eats all my food. So if there's anything, it's I gotta impose taxes on Joe, and tariffs on Joe when he starts eating my shit.
Well, I mean, for me, like food just hasn't gotten cheaper by any means. I will say that's been nice though. Eggs have come down a lot. But I moved over to the carnivore diet, so like everything with me is just essentially meat, bacon, eggs, and pork, and beef of some kind. I usually don't eat a lot of chicken, and it's not gotten any cheaper by any means. So I don't know. It just boggles me that how expensive everything has just gotten. Like it's unreal.
I think it's definitely time to take inventory on the reasons why. I mean, is it one of those things? Everything was just dialed up so much that it's harder to bring it down. I mean, it's not like how we watch. A lot of folks, even a lot of the average folks, just watch the prices of oil and then when the price of everybody watched it, they see the price of oil go up and go down. You're expecting the gas price to go up and go down. Not everybody's sitting around watching the freaking price of meat or milk. You know what I'm saying? You go into you're not watching the different cost of goods. It's just not one of those things that you look at. So I think when when we've already kind of come out of an era where all these groceries were increasing in prices and stuff, I don't think you're to see them drop quickly like you would see gas prices drop when you see barrels of oil go down.
No, but like you I buy a lot of meat from Costco. I don't know if you guys have Costco. I assume you guys have Costco's by you,
Yeah.
Baby Shop, or your Sam's Club people.
Yeah.
I think Costco's got really good meat. Well, there used to be a difference when I used to buy their prime rib roast, the whole packer, the cryovac pack. It used to be like half of the cost of the cut steaks. Now the and the whole purpose of it was, the more a piece of meat is touched, the more that piece of meat costs. So if you buy a whole roast or a whole packer brisket or something like that, it should be less per pound. It's now the same price or within a quarter per pound of a pre-cut steak. Like there's just no value in buying the bulk meat. At least in my area from Costco on the beef side, it's almost the exact same price. I used to do it that way because I would just cut my own cuts and I have a vacuum sealer and save some time and money. But you can't even do that now, I feel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. We don't buy a lot. I mean, we buy a lot of bacon. Jessica eats a lot of bacon. I don't. Jessica will eat a couple pounds of bacon a week. I mean, I will.
Do you not eat bacon?
I do. She just she eats more bacon
Not
than
like
I do.
Jessica.
Not like Jessica. She loves her bacon, and she puts it in a lot of stuff. But we buy ground turkey and ground beef. I mean, we might have steaks once a month. We don't eat a lot of. I mean, all the meat that we consumed is either chicken, like chicken breast, whole chickens. Ground beef, ground turkey. We eat just a lot of vegetables, a lot of
I'd have to consult with Jennifer over the grocery prices, on what's going
Oh,
on.
Jessica complains. She's like it's bad. It's
Yeah, I mean, I know that,
but we do have two teenagers at home, so
yeah, and I mean, listen, like again, it's been, what led to these high prices? What occurred over a 4-year period of time, right? 5-year period of time,
40-year
right?
period of time.
Well, I'm saying if you're looking at a snapshot, right?
Yeah. The hockey stick. The hockey stick was big in the last 4 years.
Pre-pandemic, post-pandemic, and then you have it, everything that's going on. So it's taken a while, and I say a quick while for it to shoot up, and the way inflation was just blowing everybody's freaking doors off, right? So I know everybody thinks, or at least 53% of the country thinks, who voted for Trump, thinks that when he comes into office, things are going to miraculously change overnight. And you can initiate change and everything else. There are some things that are changing immediately, but something like that, it just takes longer to to level off and drop. I mean, even stuff that's going on with deporting of illegals. I mean, it over the course of 4 years. I mean, it's always been a problem because I don't care if you're a Democrat or Republican. There's Democrats, there's Republicans, and there's just people who don't like Trump no matter what he does, right?
Yeah, TDS.
And there's people who love Trump no matter what he does, right? So, but if you take
TDS.
if you take the people who love and hate Trump and just get them out of the picture, I don't care. You go back to Reagan, Bush Sr., Bush Jr., Clinton, all of them, every one of them, Obama. They all, even when they had the presidential debates, the Romneys of the world, the Al Gores of the world, they all talked about the problem of illegal immigration. They all talked about it. They all addressed it. They all talked about, needing to take care of it. We need stronger borders. We need better laws. They all said the same thing, but a lot of them did nothing about it. and over that period of time, it's gotten worse, it's gotten worse, it's gotten worse, and to the point where you got some folks that just allowed to be so free range, at the border, that when you have someone coming and says, okay, well, all you guys have been talking about it, I'm really going to take a harsh stance on it, or a harsher stance on it. Everyone's bitching and complaining about it, but you go back historically and you look at some of the deportation numbers of some of the presidents, he's not even touching some of the numbers that freaking some of these other guys have.
Yeah, from what
Obama's
Obama,
still the biggest.
Still the biggest,
Yeah,
by far.
And that's not a Democrat, that's not a Republic, that's not a Kerry number. That's objective numbers of the amount of people that were deported. I mean, you talk about the slanted laws, criminal laws, with was the 3 strikes and you're out, and some of the stuff that
totally disagree with that.
100%, like, harsh,
very harsh.
Imposing. Fucking, back then it was the best thing since sliced bread, because Clinton was doing it, and if that was literally introduced now or even recommended now, you'd have millions of freaking protests going on right now, and it's. I don't even think people have short-term memory. I just think it's to the point where the folks don't like to admit they're wrong, or they don't want to admit that maybe they were wrong about something, and they are so egocentric that they would just rather turn a blind eye to it. It's selective memory.
Okay, so something kind of to this point, in a roundabout way, I'm curious about. So there's 3 ages mentioned in the Constitution. You got to be 25 to run for House, you got to be 30 to run for Senate, or you got to be 35 to be president. And I was listening to a person who made a pretty freaking valid point around, at a minimum, making the valid age for voting 25. If you are not deemed responsible enough to be in Congress until you're 25, why should you be deemed capable to vote when you're 18?
No, I think if you can die for your country, you should be able to drink, and you should be able to vote. If 18 is the age that you can be drafted, if you can be told, hey, we're at war, your leader decided to go to war, and you are going to be drafted to go fight for the country, I think that fucking. I think you have the right to freaking throw back a beer and vote for whomever you want.
But I think if you were drafted, you become an adult. You have all the rights. 21, none of that. If you're drafted at 18, then you get all of that. If you join the military voluntarily, I don't think that I don't agree with that, because you made a choice,
But you have the potential of being drafted. That never goes away, whether it's wartime or not. You have the potential of being drafted.
So why not allow somebody 18 in Congress?
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't write the Constitution. I mean,
but like, why not change the? If I can be drafted and I could go fight, if I survive and come back and I'm 20, why can't I run for Congress?
I think a lot of times these ages are developed because they look at these different marks, like what makes 35 different from 30, different from 25 to be president. And it has to do with the maturity level, I'm assuming, based on
experience of the people that originally wrote the Constitution.
You could be 18 and vote for someone who's 25, because you could vote someone in who has the experience and a little bit more responsible age, if you will, at 25 to make decisions, for every your section, your state, your whatever, you get voted into that you can run for. If you're 18, you can vote that person in, and I think you bring up a good point. I mean, it's why wouldn't they be able to run at 18?
Yeah, I agree. I think that should be changed. I say if you once you're 18 and you're an adult, if you want to run for Congress and someone's going to vote for you, if you can convince enough people to vote for you at 18, so be it. That you have every right to be a member of Congress. You should. If you want to run for president at 18, and you get enough of the country to vote in an 18-year-old, have at it.
See, I'm
Yeah.
starting
Have
to
at it.
think that if we
That's good
did that
wisdom
though,
too.
if we
Age
did
and wisdom.
that, if we did that though, I'm starting to, I would start to believe that Idiocracy was more of a documentary than a movie.
Yeah.
I still think it is. I mean, I think
Yeah.
a huge part of that most definitely reflects that. You know, again, those ages were put in place. I'd imagine is looking at experience. You know, and you look at the job itself. You could have some 18-year-olds who I mean can't even hold a job down at McDonald's. But they're going to take on the highest level and most responsible job in the world. I
Well,
mean,
they
but,
would
but
just
there's a
get,
lot of 35-year-olds that actually
yeah.
kind of fit in that same category as well.
Yeah. There's no 18-year-old that would get voted in, So I mean,
Right.
there are some that would, I think we would see some 18-year-old members of, but few and far between. But yeah, it's if you're that dumb, I'm not dumb to vote in an 18-year-old, but whatever. You have to convince a lot of the population
You're,
to
if you're that
vote
jaded,
that in. But
you have to make a compelling argument. I mean,
yeah.
if an 18-year-old can make a compelling argument and have the experience, and you can vote, him or her in, then freaking,
There's also the argument that only taxpayers should be able to vote. If you're not paying
What
taxes,
constitutes a taxpayer? Sales tax or income tax?
That's where it gets a little tricky. But yeah, it's should if you're not working and you're not paying taxes, should you have a right to vote on how
Other
the
people's
country
money
is
is
proceed?
spent.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't have the answer to that one. I'm like, I don't know. That's kind of a fucking tricky one right there.
I think you get that becomes a very, very quick slippery slope.
Yeah.
With that, I mean, I think if you're a U.S. citizen, whether you're working or not, it is your constitutional right that to vote.
Yeah.
Period. Working, not working, whatever.
I agree. I think once you turn 18, they want to lower the voting age to 16. Was it California?
No. Why not?
I think that was Hillary that also was promoting that as well.
Why not though?
Well, again,
what separates 16 from 18?
2 years.
You're legally an adult.
So strictly age is it?
It's the legal age is what it boils down to. See, here's what's happening too, Ryan, is that they want to lower the age of voting, which is literally, imposing. It's giving more responsibility, and putting an election in the hands of those that are not of the legal age of 18. So they're responsible enough responsible enough to vote for whomever. We'll just say the presidential election. But at 18, they're not responsible enough to drink. They can still stay on their parents' insurance until they're 26.
I was to say 26 now, yeah.
So I mean, that slide rule of what one deems a responsible individual seems to slide around based off of whatever your agenda is, and that's both sides of the aisle. I mean, they both play those games, regardless, of what the situation or the topic is. So that sliding rule of responsibility of age just gets crazy when you're like a 16-year-old can vote, but yet they could be on mom and dad's insurance for another 10 years. You turn 18, you can be drafted by the government to go fight for your country and die, but you can't drink a beer, you can't buy a freaking pack of cigarettes, you can't buy a cigar. It's you have to be 26 to buy tobacco products now. So 21 you can drink, but you can't smoke. I mean, at some point in time, these rules and regulations are just coming up willy-nilly, and they're making decisions based off of if you're responsible enough to make these decisions. But there's just a lack of consistency when it comes to the age groups.
No, there is. And again, like I think it's interesting because like when you go back and actually look at some of the founding fathers and actually read through them and what their own writings were, they were huge proponents of college. But college was obviously completely different back then than it is
Oh,
today
yeah.
in every single facet, right? It's not even, I don't even think there's a college equivalent of what it was like education back then to today. Um, but I have I always felt like that's where those numbers came from, because you got out at, you figure you went off to university at 18, and then you figured it was 4 years, 22, 2 years in the real world, 3 years in the real world, and now you could run for Congress. And it
Yeah.
gave you the knowledge and the experience to be able to kind of do that. That was kind of my perception behind it.
Probably a big influence was they all were dying at 45 too. So
Well, they were also all in their 20s and 30s when they
yeah,
developed the country.
I was gonna say, you had 18-year-old, 20-year-old, 22-year-olds that are going, hey, listen, I got a great idea. Let's just pull away from freaking Britain. I got this great freaking thing that we're gonna, and they all got together. They put together this incredible fucking document, a ridiculous freaking way of thinking when it comes to voting, thinking ahead with just the 13 colonies we had that really applied to how the entire country now, which people don't believe in the college electoral
Electoral college.
electoral college voting process. But
It's the greatest thing ever.
these guys are smart enough to freaking realize that if we blow
Yeah.
up and grow, this is still going to be applicable. And it makes sense. And then it's like, well, why did they pick 35? Well, they were all dying at like 45 and 50.
Yeah.
They're like, well, shit.
People always say, why are we still, following a document written in 1776, but yeah, like you said, these guys were geniuses. I
It
mean,
was that fucking good. That's why.
They were that good and they were that smart to where like it all is still applicable today. 250 years later, they thought that far in advance to where this all still makes sense. And it boggles my mind sometimes when I think about that.
The only amendment that I think is poorly written, as far as explicit, because the Constitution's written from a series of negative rights versus positive. It's rights the government can't do to you or on your behalf without your consent or of some kind. The only amendment that's written pretty poorly, and it's because I don't think they ever thought anybody would ever try to take them away, is the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment should have just said guns permanently legal regardless of anything. Like it should have been much more cut and dry than it was, in my opinion.
Well, you bring up a good point. I mean, when a lot of the when they're writing out all these different documents, it was really what England was doing, all of the freaking rights that they didn't have, how they were being in their opinion unfairly represented and paying their taxes to a country that was so many miles away across the pond, et cetera, and the Second Amendment rights was written basically during that time. The British could come around and just collect your guns because that's what you did. You want to stop an uprising, you want to stop a revolution, take the guns away.
Well, I'm a firm believer,
and also the government too, because they were smart enough to know
exactly
that they had guns, that their guns, that they were going to need guns to fight the British because that was an oppressive government, and the potential for the government that they were creating to be oppressive is so great because we've seen history repeat itself, that we must ensure that our citizens still have the right to bear arms no matter what.
Absolutely.
They didn't realize that how many years later, when they're like, well, the right to bear arms, look at the military. They didn't realize that we're going to have the freaking military the technology we have right now, but still, it's still a right. And it was still something that was put in place because they knew that there's going to be an oppressive government.
It is. And to that point, I always love saying when people go, oh, gun this, gun that. Okay, so then let's only allow freedom of the press to apply to written word, not to the internet, not to anything else. Like the whole world has changed at that point. But I am a firm believer in reading into stuff as much as I have. The only reason why we still even have the document is because of the Second Amendment.
Yeah.
Right. Well, it's most definitely. I mean, it was how obviously a major tool when it comes to battle, especially during the Revolutionary War. And again, I think it was one of those things where you see history, and you look back at even before the development of the country, all the European battles. I mean, and the different governments and how dictatorships, et cetera. These oppressive governments. What eventually is going to stop them from continuing their unfair reign is you have to have armed citizens that are going to uprise against it.
No, absolutely, and that's I mean, Kevin, you live in an incredibly so do you, I think you do too, Kerr, but incredibly gun friendly state, both open
Yeah.
and concealed.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
fucking A, right, Florida, man. I mean, we got the open, we got the open carry now. We like our guns, we like our
Hmm.
tobacco, we like our booze.
Yeah.
Our, they, you can't smoke on the beaches unless it's a cigar. Cigarettes aren't allowed, but you can puff away at a cigar on a beach. We like our rights here in Florida.
now
You get down
I
that little southern part of South Carolina, Charleston gets a little, it's a little democratic down there, but it's other than that, it's pretty much a gun friendly. Kevin said, tobacco friendly, uh, booze friendly environment.
so I'm curious. I've actually been in kind of a change topic here. I've been getting back into the gym, right? Because I'm in shape, but round is not the shape I want to be for the rest of my life. I'd like
Hmm.
to be a little bit in more shape. So I'm curious, what do you guys do? I know Kevin hits Gold's Gym almost every day.
Yeah.
Um, but what do you guys do as we're all getting older? Kevin, you're what? You're what,
I'll be
40
48 this year.
okay, I was gonna say 45.
Wow.
Care, you're late 40s, right?
No, I just turned 55.
Just turned 55. Okay. What do you guys do to keep yourself in shape?
So first of all, Ryan, if I see one Facebook post of you in the fucking gym, I'm unfriending you.
Oh,
That
I've already
yeah.
got a second channel spun up.
Oh yeah, it's these fucking people that turn their lives around and now they're curling and everything's about the gym life,
Yeah,
and it's just like get the fuck out of here,
yeah. If
you
I
know.
see you flex in a bathroom mirror,
No,
I know
I mean I do that
with your phone out like this in the bathroom.
No,
It's
no,
like
you
at
gotta
least
have
get
the
a
phone right
goddamn
here.
tripod. It's just yeah. I am graced by fantastic genetics. I mean my doctor, my family doctor is just blown away. I'll be 48 this year. I weigh 174 pounds. Blood work, everything is spot on. Other than some work injuries that have taken their toll on me. I don't do anything. I do my intermittent fasting. I supplement my fiber with Metamucil. But yeah, that's it. I don't. I really. I mean, I do eat healthy. I mean,
You're
people
also
make fun of.
very active all day, lifting tires and
Yeah,
doing a lot
exactly.
of work.
People make fun of the food that I post on Facebook. I love pizza rolls. I
I don't
ate a
know where you put
Wawa
it.
and so but like
you
people
burn it
don't
though.
see people don't see 90% of the food that I eat is healthy food. I do. I only post like the bullshit that I know is going to
Pizza
start a
rolls.
conversation. But yeah, but I'll take down 20 or 30 pizza rolls and a pint of ice cream like it's nothing and not even think twice about it.
But you go to work the next day and you freaking sweat your ass off. You burn off a lot of that stuff too. Where
Yeah, exactly.
where I kind of you know, I told you before, my pacer on my phone will threaten to call 911 because the amount of steps that I've taken in a day was from here to the bathroom or from here to the refrigerator.
I'm the same
You
way,
know,
dude. It's hard. Working at home is kind of like
it's tough.
it's
It's really easy to get fat. I will tell you that
yes.
I gained so much weight over the last several years, and last year it actually started when my brother passed away. I started making some changes, and I stopped, and I started making some changes. And then last year, I stood on a scale, and I bought a shirt, and I'm like, this the insanity needs to stop. It needs to stop now. Um, so I started doing just we years ago when I had my show, we had on Corey Gregory, and he's a fitness model, and he does all these different workouts that belong to his online, and he believed in the kind of the not the carnivore diet, but it is a very protein based diet and intermittent fasting. He combined the two. um, I started doing that. I still eat carbs now, but I don't have anything for breakfast anymore. My meals are at lunch and at dinner. I'll maybe have a small snack at night, a couple and a handful of nuts or so, um, and that's it. And I think over the last 12 months, I've probably dropped about 55 pounds.
Wow,
I picked up
that's
actually
awesome.
I was at 60 pounds, but I gained about 5 pounds since my birthday, since September. But I still have a goal. I still want to probably drop another 10 pounds, maybe another 15, maybe. But um, that was I drank nothing but water. I actually stopped drinking coffee. It's about 6 months ago. I just started drinking coffee again in the morning, just 1 cup. But I stopped drinking coffee. I stopped snacking at night. I just
That's my issue.
I well it's tough, but
That's my issue.
I drank lots of water at night. We would go in there at night after freaking dinner. You sit down. I may grab a handful of nuts, and then I stop cold at I pick a time because you want to have your fast at least more than 13, 14 hours. So if you stop eating at like 6 o'clock at night, your first meal is noon the next day. um, it's amazing what you'll see quick results with losing weight. A couple of times, like Kev, a couple of times, I've gone 24 hours fasting. I use I take Metamucil as well. Like Kevin, I take a daily vitamin and B12. In the morning, I'll do maybe about 50 push-ups. Um,
Okay, so you got some
um,
workout in
but
there.
but that's it. That's it. Now, would I like to be on? Yeah, I mean, I can go back to the gym maybe, but at the end of the day, I mean, I'm comfortable. I went back to the doctor. All my blood work is perfect. Um, uh, just everything. So,
See, for
and that's it.
me, I do breakfast and dinner only. In the morning, I'll eat like 4 pieces of bacon, 3 eggs, and a small steak. And that gets me through to dinner. I eat dinner and I try not to snack at all. My issue was the nighttime snacking. I live in
Hmm.
Colorado. There's reasons why my issue was for nighttime snacking. Don't need to be gone into, but that's just being honest, okay? So my thing was like, I get a bag of chips for my daughter, and next thing you know, at the end of the night, it's like, oh, tomorrow there's no chips. you know?
Yeah.
Last night, at 10 o'clock at night, I ate an entire pint of chocolate ice cream, 12 ginger snap cookies, and washed it down with a 16-ounce glass of milk. I was asleep by 10:30.
I understand
So that
why.
that was my snack. I am if I could stop snacking, I would probably weigh 100,
you disappear.
160 pounds.
I will tell you one of the biggest transformations I've seen in kind of the cigar personality, and Kevin, you and both Kerr could attest. Evan Darnell, holy shit.
Oh, he's got to be poking. He's got to be on the shot. I don't.
Holy
Evan's looking good.
shit.
No
I saw
offense,
him
Evan.
2 years ago and
Yeah.
he had some heft to him. I saw a picture of him doing lifting today or yesterday on Facebook. He is lean again.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Yeah.
I just want to be. I just want to be healthy. I don't have like. It's funny thing is, so the gym I go to offers free individual coaching, and the coach came over to me. I mean, Mr. Olympia, right? And he goes, "So what's your goal?" I said, somewhere between me and you. Like if I land halfway, I'm good. like
Yeah.
like I'm way too old to look like you, but like if I could go halfway, I'm good. You know, my thing is my gut. Yeah, I just got to get rid of the Dunlap. Got to get rid of the Dunlap.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
and even when you lose the weight, I mean, you're still gonna have that flab there. I mean, and I was doing some ab workout, nothing like fucking, you know, 20-minute abs or something. You know, just I still do some stretches in the morning as well because I'm getting old. I need to, you know, but you know, just trying to do something just to tighten up the midsection because when you tighten that up, you know, even some of the fat that won't go away or the flab is still going to be pulled in along with it. But I finally get to the point now where you know, I'm at the XL shirts now. You know, and I was always a double XL, and then when I started getting heavier, it was like I gotta buy a triple XL. This is fucking ridiculous. Like I bought a couple of shirts, and I'm like, this is not normal. And um, when I got to the point where I lost my first 30 pounds, the first 25 pounds, and I put on my double XL shirt to start wearing again, you know, fitting again. I took all the couple of triples that I bought and I just tossed them. I'm like, never fucking again.
You have
Never,
to.
please.
You have everybody
Never.
I know that has kept their fat clothes have worn them
Nope.
again.
Nope.
Yeah.
Everybody I know, there's a mental thing behind throwing away and spending money on a new wardrobe.
Nope.
There's a I don't want to waste my money type of mentality. Am I right?
You know what
Yeah.
I did? You know what I did, Ron? I actually had my wardrobe that fit me when I was thinner than this, and and then I had my wardrobe, which is my normal wardrobe with my normal weight, whatever normal is anymore. And then I got to the point where I'm like George Costanza, the summer of George,
Summer of George.
where I was like, George, you're wearing sweatpants. Whenever you wear sweatpants, it just means you're telling the world you've given up.
Yeah.
You know? So I just wore track pants. And guess what happens when you wear track pants? You don't know you're turning into a fat fuck.
No, because there's
You
stretchy
don't.
band.
Right. So I'm wearing track pants. I'm wearing fucking hoodies and sweatshirts and stuff. And then that's when it's like, okay, I need to get a button down. And I had three shirts that were triple XLs because I told myself I need to buy these three in order to do XYZ. But I'm not buying any more than this because there's no way I'm going to spend another dollar for that much material.
Yeah.
And then when I lost the weight, I threw out those three shirts, and I will never get into that area again. And as I lost weight, I had clothing that was like, okay, I sound like a chick, but it's okay. I'm like, here are my jeans. Here jeans. This is my goal, like to get into these jeans that I once wore, and then when I would get to certain marks, I would see how far it would take until I finally fit back into those jeans again. And it's a good feeling. And then once I was like, I'm never going to get to that point ever again in my life. I refuse to.
Yeah, you know, I remember when it really hit me on how much weight you know, because I didn't lose, I lost like 35 pounds in 1 year.
What were you at your
And
biggest, Kev?
199.
My guy, I couldn't imagine you at 199.
You know, well, you know, but I wasn't fat though. It was when I laid around for 9 months with my knee injury.
Oh, that makes sense.
So I traded fat for muscle. Like I lost a lot of muscle, and it just so like the clothes were the same. I fit in the same shorts, but I was trading one for the other. So I really wasn't. I still didn't look that big.
But you gained.
But I gained, you know.
Yeah.
So and then I started, you know, when I started back at work, you know, then that's when I started the intermittent fasting, you know, and everything else. And then I remember going down to Cuba with the Red Meat Lovers Club, and I was buying a shirt at the market, and then I'm like, oh, I need a large, and the lady's like, you're not a large, you're a medium. I'm like, no, I always wear larges. She goes, no, you're a medium. So I bought a medium shirt, and I'm like, this thing fits like a glove, you know? And I'm like, oh my God, I'm wearing mediums now. So that now all my clothes are medium. So it's, yeah, it was the first time I realized how much weight I lost. And I fluctuate up and down. I'll go to like 169 to like 178, so I've got like a 10-pound, fluctuation there.
That's I don't know. I think the last time I seen 170 something was 10th grade.
I wrestled in high school at 171.
Yeah.
I wrestled in high school at 171. I was benching 350, and I was leg pressing about 475.
Yeah.
It was nice.
The lightest I got
450.
When I was in Pittsburgh, I was doing a lot of, and I was doing a lot of running. I think that was the lightest I was in my, old post college days. I got down to 200 pounds. That's the lightest I've been. I got down to 200 pounds. I was shopping for 34 jeans, 34-inch waist jeans. And I'm like, this isn't normal. I would see pictures of myself even back then. And I looked like the scene from So I Married an Axe Murderer. It's like his head's like, it looks like an orange on a toothpick.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like.
That's where I wear now, 34 shorts. But I have good. I have good examples that live. All my neighbors are retired. Like nobody around me works. They're all retired, and they're all these guys in their 60s and 70s, and they all weigh like 300 pounds, and they don't do anything. They just we see them. We can go out right now in my backyard and watch, Bobby and Diane smoking weed behind us, listening to the radio. Peanut next door, just
they're nighttime munchers.
On the computer, playing his whatever Candy Crush games, and Jim 2 houses down, on his TV watching, sports 24 hours a day. And I see these guys that don't. What's that?
You got binoculars? You spy on your neighbors?
Yeah.
He's got the long telescope.
Yeah. Well,
fucking Peanut, what's he doing?
Sometimes I gotta go to the bathroom and pee. So I gotta go out. I gotta go to the backyard. I go out to the backyard and take a piss. So those have actually been good. Good role models for me. It was like I don't ever want to end up like these guys. I saw what I've been here for 15 years now or so. In this house, and I've seen that progression. I've seen them when they were, younger and vibrant and weighed less. And then I see, what they've become. And it's like, God, I don't ever want to be that way. And so it's, and because I know the older you get, the harder it becomes, to keep
muscle. It's hard to build muscle. Your testosterone levels drop. You're freaking, it's just the whole chemical freaking, everything just goes to fucking shit. Even getting injured, Kevin, you get
sleeping injuries,
recovering from an injury.
I took a fall 3.5 years ago at work, and I'm still going through those injuries. 10 years ago, Kerr, from your sport, that's a 2 to 3 week injury. You bounce back and you never think twice about it.
Not only that, when you get older, you start. I'm now identifying all my pains now are like from old injuries when I was younger, because it's catching up to you. The youth of being able to just do things, ignoring the pain, or your body was still. Now it's like my right knee started really giving me a lot of pain, to the point where nothing was touching it. It would keep me up at night. Finally went to the doctor, but they took the X-ray of my knee. And years ago, when I was at school, we actually played on turf, and it was really grabby turf, and I twisted my knee, and they went in and cleaned up some scar tissue and some cartilage, And you don't realize that, when you turn 55, that cartilage they removed, years ago, every little bit helps. So now they take an X-ray. They're like, well, you have like, mild to moderate, arthritis in your right knee. That looks like, a lot of your cartilage is gone. Not only does it, kind of, wear down over years with age, but then you got to take into consideration for myself, how many years did I spend carrying around an extra 60, 70 pounds that take a toll on your joints.
Big time.
That was one of the first things I remember that really kind of stuck out to me was going up the steps. It was like I think I had lost at the time, um, maybe about 20 or 30 pounds, 25 pounds, and a lot of things were kind of like there's a big difference. Like when you lose 5 or 10 pounds, it's like hey, I just kind of watch what I eat for the week. When you were younger, now it's like you got to freaking
Yeah.
grind out for 5 or 10 fucking
You got to
pounds.
work for it.
But after about 25 pounds, um, I zipped up the steps, and I was like, I remember, when I was at my heaviest, I'd go up the steps slowly and just kind of like be like, it must have been a rough day. No, it wasn't a rough day. You're a fat pig and you're trying to walk up just the freaking 6 steps, and you're finding it difficult because you're carrying around the freaking equivalent weight of a freaking fifth grader, you know. It takes a toll on your body. It takes a toll on your joints, your hips, your knees, and it just wears down all the necessary freaking padding that you have that your body has. It's just brutal, And then it was like I zipped up the steps and I was like, holy shit! And it kind of dawned on me. I was like, I didn't realize just how much easier it is just to zip around. I'm not out of breath. I could do it without freaking groaning and grunting and freaking snapping and creaking and popping.
Yeah, that's one of the
Yeah.
things I want to get better in shape for is because of my daughter. Not even right at a certain point in time, you start to get a little chest pain. You're like, oh my god, here it comes, here it
Yeah.
comes. Like
It's the big one.
Okay, I'm in my 40s.
Oh yeah.
But here to quick change of subject here for the last segment of the show, I would be remiss without bringing this up to you guys because you're both sports guys. Did you watch the news this morning with the FBI release of with 33
Oh,
people being
No,
arrested?
Fuck.
I'll
I've
let
been
you
working all
explain
day,
it, Kerr. I don't know too
it
much.
yeah, it popped up my Google News feed, and I forgot until you just mentioned it to go back and see what happened.
I watched the news feed and I didn't get all the specifics, but I know enough about what was said where they arrested a lot of former NBA players, coaches, I think some current NBA
Current
players,
coaches and current players.
and current
Chauncey.
players, Chauncey Billups, um, uh, you know, um, all of them involved with the Cosa Nostra. They rattled off 3 or 4 different
Three
mafia
families,
families
yeah.
that they're involved with freaking rigging
Oh,
games.
really?
Everything from freaking and gosh,
Card
you
games to the
you name
NBA.
it. Card games of the NBA, everything. I mean, it's just not like saying, "Hey, we found a couple of freaking referees and some
No.
players that rigged the freaking NBA playoff in 2023." It's like
Mm-mm.
and they only it sounds like they only released a portion of what is
Correct.
going on, and
Correct.
it's going to be pretty deep. It's going to be pretty interesting to see how deep this goes because it could I mean it could be something as simple everything from embezzlement to freaking oh gosh what else with the different types I have to look it up
Money
here real quick.
laundering,
Money laundering,
fraud.
yeah, I
So
mean
Kev, what they were doing with the poker tables is they would have like 5 people at a poker table.
Yeah,
Everyone was in on it. And I'm just throwing a name out here. Say they
yeah.
had John Daly sitting at a poker. He had nothing to do with it. John Daly had nothing to do with this. But say they had John Daly sitting at a table. That table was given more credence to legitimacy because John Daly sat there. So they would have a celebrity or a sports guy sit there. Everybody but the person that sat down would be a part of it. They would then run x-ray tables, so when the cards were face down, their people in the background were able to read the cards, and then essentially that person at the table would be grifted out of whatever they were grifted out of.
that
And
was I saw Phillips was in those rigged poker games
and then
pretty
Billups, wasn't Billups also part of the I got injured and pulled himself out, sent a
That's
text?
Rozier.
That's
Rozier said
Rozier.
that
Okay.
he said that he was part of he would tell a gambling ring that he would leave a game
Yep.
early, allowing
Yep.
them to wager and prop bets, knowing that he wouldn't rack up points.
And then they would come over
Um,
and count the money at his house.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like you said, Billups is involved with a lot of the freaking the different poker games.
They have like a $30
Um,
million contract. Like, to what? It's pennies. Like, why? Why throw it all away?
Same with Mike Vick and the dogs. You're making all that
That's more
money,
cultural, though. Like, that's like I
yeah,
was raised with dog fighting type deal. I kept that culture. That's like I was raised moonshining. I kept moonshining. This
yeah.
is I don't need to gamble to make money. But I'm doing it. Like, to me, it just doesn't make sense to me. But like, you take a Jordan and a Barkley. I firmly believe a lot of the fun is in losing and winning. You take
yeah.
somebody that runs a scheme like this, it's not real gambling, it's winning. And it was against, what wasn't there one of the big betting houses that this originally was like one of the plaintiffs in this? That
Um,
that,
I,
that was one of the payouts
I
that
would, I
when
would,
all
I
this
wouldn't
went
be
through.
surprised. I mean, if they start showing, that specific games or specific series were freaking rigged, and you're someone who freaking bet legally,
And
50
that's the other
grand
side,
on the
yeah.
game,
And now you
how many
lost it.
lawsuits are going to be coming out of this shit,
A
especially when you
hundred
Yeah.
got,
percent. And
And
it's
who
um,
not
and who
and
is and
it's
who
and
is
it's
the
not DraftKings' fault. They weren't
yeah and how did this come
implementing
out? Like,
this.
who's the whistleblower on this? Does it say
4
how it?
years in the making this case was.
Oh,
33
4 years.
33 people in like 11 states or 20 states were arrested.
Wow.
yeah,
It was
yeah,
huge, huge.
crazy.
Tens of millions of dollars, Cash Patel said.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep, and it's some, like I said, it's some pretty big previous players and names, coaches, current folks. It's not only looking
So,
at,
so, so I was just
what.
so if that many people were arrested already, like
Oh yeah,
there's got to be double, triple, quadruple that.
we'll see how long it
Potentially.
takes for them to flip. But, not only the people that they didn't announce that they arrested, but if you start pulling in these folks and you're like, hey, here's a deal, you know, start coughing up some names or else
Yeah.
it's not going to take very long um, for them to get down and dirty and start giving up some folks, you know.
But
But
I
again,
just could see like a DraftKings getting sued over this when it wasn't their fault, because what's his face or a couple of people threw a game, people bet on the points that they were going to score in that game. Other people had insider information. Now what it does is they're going to go back to every game that these people threw, or not threw, but were out injured, and reanalyze that. And do those people have a legal right to sue? Who do they sue?
hmm
Yeah, I don't think you can sue the like DraftKings. I don't think you can sue the house.
no, you can
And
you're
you're
gonna sue the mafia.
yeah,
That's what I'm
and
saying.
you're not
Like, is this a civil thing?
yeah, you're not going to go after someone on the civil side. Most of these people that lost, small amounts of money, they're not going to,
But the thing is DraftKings is entitled to that money back. So then, do they then reimburse
Oh
or
yeah,
refund
yeah,
everybody? Or I'm using DraftKings as being the most prevalent
yeah,
gambling app I
exactly.
know. They weren't
I don't.
implicated in any of this that I
Yeah,
know.
I don't think in a situation like this, I don't see any lawsuits. I don't think any repercussions of that. No, nobody. You're out the
Oh,
money.
you don't think so?
I don't think so. I think you're
In this
you're
fucking
gambling.
business environment, I think you're gonna see a lot of
I
But
I
who
people
do
who
think
you
lost
sue?
money.
Who do you sue?
I
you
think
you took
you're gonna
you're
see.
gambling. You took the chance.
Yeah, I
That's what
understand
that's what
that.
gambling is.
That's
But if
fair.
it,
That's
if
fair.
but if it comes out, if you are legally gambling, and if you are gambling on bet money on Team A to beat Team B, and then it comes out that Team A was cheating or Team B was cheating and guaranteeing, at some point they're going to come back and say, okay, who were the players involved? And you're going to start suing those people. I think you're going to see more. I think you're going to the
So you
potential to
think
see.
individual lawsuits is probably where this will end at?
I think you'll see either individual lawsuits, or you may just get a whole bunch of gamblers get together and do a class action lawsuit. If like, and I don't know if this is true. Just as an example, Chauncey Billups is he's doing the gambling, but Malik Beasley, for example, he's another name I'm reading here. If you see that he purposely threw the game, or he purposely took himself out of a game and then informed individuals that this is going to happen to ensure the point spread, or the fact that he's altering the game that would normally freaking not be altered. you know there is the potential there for folks to get together and say,
I
what, I
yeah.
I bet 50 grand on this, and you made a decision because you were making money on it. You were
Correct.
making money
Self
on it.
enrichment.
So you're making money on it. You're screwing people who are legally built. I think you'll see some issues there. I think you'll see some lawsuits.
I think you might see some settlements. Like the whales. Some guy that's he bets millions of dollars a year, but he happened to bet 50 grand on that game, and he's pissed off. Like, hey, you owe me some money. Like, I'll give you like 15 grand. All right, I'll
Right.
take it.
But I'm saying, but you will see a lawsuit. In order to settle, you will see some sort
Yeah.
of a complaint filed, and whether it's settled or not, or what have you. I think you're going to see some blowback on this, especially when more specifics come out and the details over how it impacted the game and did it impact the outcome.
Yeah, I think maybe once we start seeing more details, if it becomes a lot more than what like I said, I haven't read anything yet. I just came up with my feed, and I haven't delved into it yet. So yeah, if a lot more starts coming out, maybe we'll start seeing that.
Well, what impressed me was the sheer sophistication on at least the card gambling side, on the poker side. That they
Now, when you said
actually
right, when you said like X-ray tables, what do you mean by that?
they had the
Like,
table to where when the cards were put down, there was cameras built in underneath the table with like a see-through layer on the top. So
so
they were
how did
they were the
was this
people
was like in
playing.
Vegas?
I don't know. This is literally what they said in the press conference.
Oh, okay,
My
okay.
guess
I
is
think they're gambling houses and private.
Okay. I misinterpreted that. Like how did Vegas allow this? To X-ray
no,
tables.
it wasn't Vegas, but I mean it was like they had card counters. They had it set
Okay.
up to where there was like one or two Johns at each table, and everybody else was in on it. And then they would
Okay.
set up some kind of a celebrity or a well-known person at that table to give it bona fide.
Okay, so these are like you said, they're card houses. These aren't like
Correct.
Yeah,
At least I think
like
so. I think they haven't released a lot about that. But
this isn't like the casinos, like the freaking Tropicana.
no. This is like the Bellagio or anything. But when you look at who was harmed, it is the casinos, because who do you think owns the gambling houses for the legal sporting events and then apps? That's like DraftKings is backed by casinos. So they were injured in that sense. Like they paid out money potentially that they should never have done. So it becomes very gross in that sense. It becomes very dirty, and how are people could it very well might be like you said, Kev. Sorry, you gambled. That's a risk. It may come down to individuals. It'll be interesting to see the time frame at which all this actually even maybe goes to court or something. But
yeah,
it was incredible to watch that press conference, listening to all the ways that they were cheating the gamblers, the card gamblers, and then inside the sports world. Like
and probably
it was
most
huge.
of these people, and probably most of these cheaters, like they don't have anything anyways. Like they pissed all their money away. They don't have anything now that you can come after. Like the few people that they're probably, I can imagine that made a ton of money. They don't live here. Like they're overseas.
Nah,
like
no, you're not
we're not you're not getting after them.
No. I
Exactly.
actually looked something up real quick because I couldn't remember what game it was, and it was the 25 years ago was the point shaving for the Arizona State University. It was a big to do. It was so they issued 72 counts of indictment against several people.
Jesus.
They were taking bribes to shave, to fix 4 games in a season, shaving points, et cetera, et cetera. and no civil lawsuits were reported. At least that's what they look back on. So that's 25 years ago, and you talk
Yeah.
about the Arizona State.
Documentation probably isn't as vast as it is now.
But
Yeah,
I mean, but I mean, if there's a lawsuit, I'm sure there would be some sort of documentation on it. But that was a big one. There was one that was the Northwestern Point. I remember a couple of them coming out. I couldn't remember who it was, but I remember in college basketball. And wasn't there something involved, the Celtics or something? I remember and the referees involved with it. I know there's something also with the
I don't
college
remember
where
that.
basketball players and referees were involved with point shaving. And it's if it's a big game and there's a lot of betting on it, that's probably where you're going to see some issues. But you figure these, like when you say Arizona State University, 4 games during their season, they shave points, and it's like that's when you think you're going to get away with it, and no one's going to notice if it's like Arizona State, is playing their 15th game of the season, they're playing, freaking, Utah, or University of Texas or whomever, and you're like, well, I'm going to go ahead and place a big bet. I got a freaking couple guys in my back pocket. We're going to shave some points to make some money. No one's going to notice it because it's the 15th game of the fucking season.
Yeah.
It's not like and it's not like March Madness. It's not like the freaking championship game where you would wonder if that's what's going on. It's just a regular season game.
But that's also a betting house doing it. That wasn't the sport, like people within the sport contributing to that shaving, right?
No,
like trying to throw games.
No,
it'd be the people. Yeah,
it was
That's
the
what I
people.
mean.
They actually had players that were freaking being bribed to shave points.
Okay,
yeah.
I'll miss a shot here and there. I'll
And what
foul
sport was
someone.
that?
It was
Basketball.
basketball.
So I feel like baseball and basketball have been. I don't feel like this has happened in football. Am I wrong in that?
Nah, it happens in football too.
But I don't feel
it
like
happens.
it's come out.
Basketball's
Baseball
the
it did.
easiest.
Yeah,
baseball
it
it came out with.
Basketball's
what was
easier
it?
though than out of the sports. Kevin's right.
What was the
Basketball's,
favorite?
listen,
What was the favorite
way
World
easy.
Series
Yeah.
that baseball did it in with Shoeless Joe? What was that?
Oh, that was the Black
that's
Sox.
the Black
Yeah.
Sox.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the 1920s.
We're going back to
But
the
I mean, I
conversation
can't remember a time where football was caught up in a gambling scheme or players.
So to have
harder.
Yeah, so with baseball and football, you have to have multiple people, all in on it. But basketball, you really
That's
just got to
true.
have like
That's true.
You just
Your
got to
big
have
guys.
your main guy,
Mhm.
you
Or
know,
a
just
referee.
or a referee, But the main guy just hitting bricks. The football, you got to have the quarterback and the running back. It's baseball is too many things going wrong. So you have to have too many more people, and that's a harder secret to keep.
Now, what
the Black Sox, even with the Black Sox, you had a bunch of guys. We'll go back to our conversation of the inception of income tax. I mean, that's how long ago that happened.
Mm-hmm.
But even when you look back at the stats, that's one of the things they said. Shoeless Joe took the money, but he still fucking played great. And if you're gonna say that he didn't play as well as he could, he played awesome.
Yeah, you take Pete Rose. According to what just happened, Pete Rose was like a misdemeanor.
Pete Rose used to bet on his team to win.
Correct.
Yeah.
It was different.
It wasn't like Pete was betting against his team and then freaking threw in a bunch of freaking
shitty players,
AAA minor leaguers. Pete Rose got freaking railroaded. That's such that man freaking should have.
Fuck Bud C. I hope Bug Selig rots in hell. I hope he's just fuck that guy.
So do you guys think players should be allowed to bet on themselves to win? On themselves to win, not to lose.
Well, it's a slippery slope, man. It's another slippery slope. It's like, if you, it's like water. It's always going to find a way. If you open a door for them to bet on themselves to win, then it's just that much easier to freaking have a guy go, you know what? I'm going to play my ass off, but freaking Michael Jordan freaking is has a twisted ankle, and I don't think we're going to do so well tonight. But I think we got a good team, but it's going to be a tough one. So, or you're freaking, Ohio freaking community college playing Ohio State University. You're going to get your ass beat. No matter how hard you play. So it's easier just to bet to lose.
Yeah, I don't think any athlete should be able to bet on any sports. I don't know because sometimes you have insider knowledge, So Michael Jordan, betting on baseball, maybe he's got like a little bit of hey, so and so is not playing tonight. It hasn't been announced yet. So he bets on that and he has an unfair advantage. So
it's having friends within that. Excuse me. It's having friends and connections within that community that allow you to have a little bit more of a better edge. And honestly, it brings up that point of which it still blows my mind that you have elected representatives who have inside knowledge of different laws, that could be passed or things that will impact the marketplace, but yet they're freaking still investing. They're selling and buying freaking stocks and investing their money or divesting their money because they truly have insider information. And I think that's wrong. I don't think anybody who is a elected official, should be allowed to do that.
No, I don't disagree. If you're writing the rules, you shouldn't be able to bet against them or for them.
No, it's insider trading. Freaking Martha Stewart went to fucking jail for it. I mean, if you're freaking up there, you're freaking Elizabeth Warren, or you're freaking
she didn't even make a ton.
What's her face? Who's the other one?
Nancy Pelosi.
Nancy Pelosi. I mean,
she's worth $100 million.
No one can. I don't care who it is because you see it on both sides of the aisle. I have a hard time freaking accepting the fact that you go into that you are a lawyer or whatever else, and you may have a successful practice. You may have a freaking your net worth is $500,000, and then you take a job in the government where your salary may be $200,000, $150,000, whatever it is now, and then you leave that job, or during that job you become a multimillionaire. How?
Yeah.
How?
I agree.
You're not a practicing attorney. You're not taking on big clients. You're not taking in big freaking retainers. You're not freaking overseeing a company. You're being paid $150,000 to $200,000 a year, and it's nice that you have some expenses and stuff that you in healthcare insurance you're not paying for. But how do you go into that role with a net worth of a couple $100,000, and then you leave a multimillionaire?
Yeah.
It boggles the mind that more people don't look into that shit.
A lot of people do
legal.
look into it. Yeah.
It's allowed to happen, and they're just covering for each other. Because if they really pulled back the freaking the freaking curtain, they're all guilty of it.
Absolutely.
They just are, and it's horrible. There's a guy, I don't know where I see this, but he started a website where they follow Nancy Pelosi's freaking portfolio.
Mm-hmm.
And
there's an app, a trading app, you could do that.
Yeah, trading app. Yeah,
and it's a trading app, and they freaking post it, and people that belong to this group can actually follow and buy and sell, and follow Nancy Pelosi's freaking and other government
anyone from Congress,
and follow their patterns, and people are making money off of it. That should tell you right there that it's freaking crooked as shit.
Absolutely. No, I agree. And anytime you ever question if government's crooked, just is it open? If it's open, it's crooked. And I don't care either side of the field you're on. I don't really care. There's good people out there in government, but I also feel there's a certain amount of narcissism it requires for one to be in government.
Have to be. I mean,
Yeah.
there is a certain level of it because they say, well, why would someone want to run for office if you're freaking rich, right? What's the benefit? You have money, you can retire. Well, you know, yeah, you can believe that Trump loves country enough, and that's blah 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 blah. There's nothing better than power. You know, when you have that much money, the only thing that you need more of is power. And there's nothing
Yeah.
better than spending your own money at spending someone else's money.
I completely agree.
And that's what politics really boils down to. It's power and it's influence, and it's also some of these folks really want to make. I mean, look at Trump. He's freaking knocking down the East Wing or whatever, put up a ballroom.
I
You
think
know,
I'm loving all the trolling this man is doing.
but what's funny about it is that that's something where you're like, I'm going to make a change, not only in the government, but I'm also going to do this where this is going to be a while. It could be a lifelong change. Who knows how long it'll last. But some folks just want to make an impact that great that, like we talked about George Washington, Abraham Lincoln. Now, how many years later?
Oh,
yeah. I hope he builds the Arc de Trump. And I saw it and I'm like, please, for the love of God, let that get done.
This is so
the Arc de
good.
Trump.
You hear him talking about when he was in there, and he's like, right here used to be the swimming pool.
Yeah.
You know, and he's talking about Kennedy's wife, and she'd sit there and go, I hear girls over there. They're like, oh, it's nothing, just go away. And I'm like, he's saying this shit out loud. It's like everyone knows it, everyone thinks it, but he's not only saying it out loud, but he's saying it with like a whole bunch of reporters and cameras up there. It's like,
well, one of the things I'm loving about him building onto the East Wing is the fact that the left is so much going to want to forget Trump, but now he's literally building a ballroom that's almost twice the size of the White House.
Oh, I know.
It's 90,000 square feet. The White House is
great.
55,000.
And then over time, like it will be forgotten that he built that.
No,
that's why
he's putting his name somewhere in there,
That's why I want the Arc de Trump. That's why I want that, because you'll never forget that. Just like the Affordable Care Act, it's Obamacare. Obama's name will always have his name on that. Whenever you come to Washington, no matter what, you'll see this giant arch, and and you just and no matter what they call it, it won't be called the Arc de Trump. Yeah, that's just what the nickname is. That's what it'll be called for all of history.
Love him or hate him, the guy is a master troller. Without getting too political about it, the stuff he put out for the No King stuff was freaking hilarious. And I love that everyone's taking him so serious too. He's a master troller. He's a master of feeding into everybody's worst conceptions of him. He feeds into it. I swear he just sits back and laughs. Like, he's got to, right? I mean, he has to. He really does. He's 82, I think.
Right. You figure the guy over the last, someone said that, they said, he's crazy. They're like, well, of course he's crazy. To be able to have that much energy at that age, you've been fighting legal battles that you're trying to send you to freaking jail. They're trying to tear your family down. You're trying to take your money from you. They're trying to keep you from running for president. They're trying to remove your name from freaking ballots all certain states. They try and shoot you, and it's like, and he just ended up at some point, I think the normal person would have been like, all right, I get it. Y'all don't want me. I get it. I'm taking the hint. I'm backing out. I'm done. What do you guys want me to do? Okay, fine. And he's just like, you know what? I have FU money, and I'm gonna freaking fight back. And I don't know.
And he knows he's only got 4 years. He can't do anything else. And on the last day in office, he's probably going to write a bunch of pardons that are going to spend years in the courts trying to figure out if any of them are legit. Can he pardon himself? Nobody knows. But he writes that on his last day. He'll be dead before the Supreme Court issues an opinion on that.
No, I agree. like I said, love him or hate him, he's probably one of the most entertaining presidents we've ever had. Definitely by far the funniest.
Yeah. Oh
In,
yeah.
in everything he does. Like it's just he's just funny. Um,
I just love it because he cusses. When he, like how
oh
can a president?
yes,
How does a president say that?
and they
How's
played
a
that on
guy?
the TV.
Yeah, I know.
Mhm.
Like he fucking basically, spent his whole life in New York. You'd be surprised he doesn't cuss more often. Than
I was
I
gonna say,
actually
what do you
like
expect when
hearing
you
the
have a
president.
builder from New York? Everyone's
yeah,
surprised by how they're acting. Like, yeah, it's
I
yeah.
you
like
gotta, you
hearing the
got.
president cuss. Personally,
Uh,
when he says they don't want to fuck with the US, I like hearing that shit. I do.
yeah,
Like that's
yeah.
yes, you damn right they won't fuck with the US. I want to hear a president talk like that. Like that is every president should talk or every leader should talk about their own country that way. I think
I love it. I think I love it when other leaders are like, oh, we better not make Trump daddy when he called him his
he calls
daddy.
him daddy.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, that's awesome. You're such our bitch.
Well, do you remember in the first Trump presidency? So you're not supposed to touch like the Saudi elites.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he
Oh yeah.
walked up and patted him on the shoulder. And the
On this
guy's,
side, it kept walking. The guy
yeah.
looked this way, and he's like,
Oh,
and
like,
then
like,
when he's in the world leaders, he gets up there like, I don't know, almost last and pushes his way to the front.
yeah, yeah. It was great. Yeah, when he tapped him on the shoulder and kept walking, like, who the fuck just touched me?
Right?
You
yeah,
know.
It's so great. It's so
it's
great.
like
Well,
he's a New Yorker. That's what it's like. He's a New
That's it.
Yorker. He's a builder from New York. They're actually showing some old videos of him after 9/11 down on 9/11. They said, "What are you doing here?" He's like, He goes, "I have 150 workers down here, and I got another 100 coming down." He goes, "I want to see how they're doing. I want to check in on them." He goes, "I
Yeah.
want to build." He goes, "I got to boost their morale." He goes, "This is terrible. I hope that we find out who did it. We take action quickly, but I got workers to take care of."
Yep.
He
yeah.
said, "You sending more?" He goes, "Yeah, I'm sending more. I got another 100 on the way."
Oh yeah. Like nobody will ever be satisfied with any person that the right decides to run.
Yeah.
The
Yeah, you're right.
media. I mean,
Same with the left.
they're already literally saying that Vance is worse. Like they're
Oh
already
yeah,
started that, and they like that.
he's
It's
worse and he's younger too. That's even doubly worse.
I
right.
know.
It's ridiculous. Everyone's terrible. Everyone sucks. This is why we need term limits across the board for everybody.
Oh my
12
god,
years. That's
horrible.
6 terms in the Congress, or that's 6 terms in the House, 2 terms in Senate. Not mix and match. 12 years total.
You got people
That's
that
all you
are
get.
freaking on. I mean, they on life support, and it's like they're not going to give up their spot yet. I'm like, fuck. You
Like McConnell, who just
if you
fell.
miss if you miss 3 freaking shifts at McDonald's because you got a sinus infection, you're going to be fired. This motherfucker's missed months. I mean, it's just the whole. I think term limits.
Yeah.
That
The old crazy the old lady with the purple hair that's always shaking her fist.
Oh
What I
yeah.
forget. Yeah,
She's
just
from
all
Maine,
of
I think.
Or
yeah,
you
yeah.
got what's his face? Who looks like the turtle, the Republican.
Oh, McConnell.
McConnell. Yeah,
Mitch McConnell. I mean, he literally has like a freaking stroke
Yeah, he
and
just
just
fell again, didn't he?
yeah.
well,
Just the other
he's
day.
in the
Yeah,
middle of, there's a couple of press conferences. He just kind of, they pick on, Biden, who's had some real good gas, but he just freezes.
yeah,
It's like, you see the little freaking the spinning wheel that they put over top of him, because it's like
Buffering.
and the sad part is that that's a serious issue, and yes, it's comical to see in many ways, but it's really sad at the end of the day that someone is in that bad a shape or something's wrong with them, yet there's nothing you can do about removing them from that freaking office.
yeah.
They just shouldn't be there, and they're making decisions that just
You
it's like, man, fuck.
you have forced retirement from a lot of companies at the age of 65.
You can't be a pilot.
That's what I mean. Like, so like you
Yeah.
shouldn't be in charge of that much money. Like I am
Um,
okay with age limits with aging out, and I'm okay with term limits.
Yeah.
The term limits are the biggies, especially when you sit on. It's not even the role that they're voted in for. It's all the different freaking things that they sit on, the different committees that they sit on, and how they have heavy influence on these different committees.
I agree.
And it's like, son of a bitch, this person's sitting on one of the most important committees, that our country has, and they can't even put a coherent sentence together, or they're freezing and having a fucking a TI in the middle of a freaking a press conference.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it's amazing. It's the same thing with the Supreme Court. It's the justices. It's like, I can't remember. Was it who? What was her name? The one
Ginsburg, RGB.
Ginsburg.
Yeah.
I mean, Ginsburg. It was like, people were wondering if she was still alive, if she just died, and no one was saying anything because they didn't want freaking Trump to replace, her on it. And that's, I think that is just, that is an insult to humanity in general when you have that kind of stuff going on. But,
well, I also think the reason why you don't get Supreme Court justices stepping down earlier in life is because of how politicized the Supreme Court has become. And if the Supreme Court was never even originally written into the Constitution, it was later added. And the Supreme Court was never meant to be a political institution at all. That's why one of the reasons why they have lifetime appointments is because it avoided the politics of running. It avoided the politics of new presidents coming in and excluding them or removing them. So somewhere in the 60s and 70s, the Supreme Court during the Warren courts were made into such a political ploy that now the people in the Supreme Court go, I don't want to leave because I don't want to be replaced by somebody else. Like, oh my gosh.
It's like we have a Republican as a president. If I leave now, they're going to replace it with a conservative judge. If I'm a Democrat or liberal, there's a Democrat in office, I can't leave because they'll replace me with this. And and you're right. I mean, even to the point, it's highly politicized when one party are if you were to look at what they consider conservative judges, which I think some of them, it's a very loose term, are outnumbering the liberal judges, and then the liberals and the Democrats are like, you know what, we should add some more people to the Supreme Court.
Stack the court. Try what FDR tried to
like
3 judges.
So what you're trying to say is that if you're not winning the football game, the next thing you know, you're going to say, well, maybe we should freaking make touchdowns 3 points and field goals 7 points, because then that would make things better. Or let's move the goalpost up a little bit, or move it back.
But the side of it too that nobody understands is a lot of people that don't follow law don't understand that there's 9 districts in this country. There's 9 districts because there's 9 judges. Each judge sits over each district. You add 3 more judges, you now got to add 3 more districts. So like, it's a lot harder than just adding 3 judges. It's also carving out districts to make 3 more and throwing judges in those. And like, it's a lot more than just stacking the court when 9 justices oversee 9 circuits of federal courts.
We know that. That's part of the strategy.
And that's why when people go, oh, it's so easy, just add 3. Well, it's not. It's really not that easy.
No, there's a deeper meaning behind it. There's more moving parts, and honestly, I think when they're asking for those judges at the political level, they understand the other impact, the greater impact it's going to have.
Yeah, and most of the people in politics, right or left, say things they know is wrong just to get people riled up. Like I'd say vast majority of stuff any politician says is said from a vantage point to get the base stirred, not from a vantage point of building the country in a positive way, in my opinion. But well, guys, this has been a fun show. We've touched on tariffs. We touched a little bit on, but you know why I'm happy we did the show like this? None of us actually gave our opinions. Like we talked from from much more of like a inclusive side versus, oh, this is my opinion on this. So I think there's like a political show like kind of done like this is a little bit different than all of us just giving our opinions and arguing with each other or saying somebody's
Yeah.
wrong. Or so it's a lot different. That's why I don't mind doing these types of shows. I think they're also good to talk about, right? Everything's I personally feel that the reason why politics is so hush hush or whatever, and so is religion, is because for so many years we were taught to never talk about it. So when we do talk about it, we come from a point of emotion versus a point of understanding because we've had so many discussions about this already. Is that a fair sentiment?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Without a doubt.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I
And
think we need to talk
identity
about this more.
politics is, and Kevin, we talk about this all the time. I said, I always maintain a very objective point of view. It's kind of how I live my life as well. I see both sides of the argument, both sides, of the aisle. I may not agree with one side or the other side, but at the end of the day, I try and look at through a lens of being objective and seeking to understand both sides, so I can make an informed decision that I think it would be the best decision based off of objective information, and objectivity has been removed horribly from political discussions because no one wants to listen. And
I
that's the
agree.
problem.
Yeah.
And first and foremost, we're all neighbors and we all live in a community and we all can't hate each other, right?
Yeah.
So
Well, we can make things a
we
lot
have to
easier.
find ways of we have to find ways of disagreeing honestly in a productive way versus hating your neighbor because they have a red or a blue sign in front of their house. Look at
Yeah.
us, everybody, here on the Rocky Mountain Cigar Show, solving all the world's problems with Kevin and Kerr. Thank you so much, Kevin and Kerr, for coming on the show tonight. I had a
Oh,
lot of
thanks for having
fun.
us.
We got to kind of talk about things that aren't normally talked about on this show, and it's fun to get a perspective. Um, so I can't wait, Kevin. I will tag you in all of my lifting photos and videos that I have been recording and I'm about to post, and I hope you enjoy them. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
We would like to also take this moment to commemorate this very last time you see
Yeah. Yeah.
any type of show with all three of us on here, since Ryan will be blocked, and he can definitely share his flexing photos with his new weightlifting community.
That's it. Now, and don't forget. I know Smoke-In Cigars is one of your sponsors, Ryan. We
yep.
got
I was gonna
TGS
say
tickets. The Great Smoke 20th anniversary tickets are going on sale in like
no,
2 weeks. Are you coming? Are you coming down?
I am. I am. I think they go on sale like November 4th, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
Right at the beginning of November. Everybody, if you're watching, Kevin and Kerr can totally attest to this, especially Kevin, and you're remotely thinking about a VIP, get in early, everyone. Great point for bringing this up, Kevin. Thank you. There's a whole different way they're doing TGS tickets this year.
Yes.
It is a queue driven, just like Ticketmaster. So if you remotely want a VIP ticket or buy a table, I strongly recommend you join that queue early. Last year, the VIPs were gone within an hour, I think, and the tables were gone within an hour as well. So don't wait, don't sit on it. I've seen a lot of people already post that they've booked hotels. I don't think that he's released a block yet. My guess is he'll release that
Yeah.
information at the time of the tickets. So be on the lookout for that. But the 20th anniversary and the 30th anniversary of Smokin' is also next year. I know Abe said he was going to do something maybe in the fall for the 30th. Kevin, do you know any more about that?
I'm not allowed to say if I know anything about anything because Jessica works for Smoke-In, so I
Oh,
get,
okay, that's not fair. Insider
Yeah,
information.
yeah,
That's
so-
we can't
yeah,
have that
that's
information.
it.
But
So
I do know
Red,
there's a
Red Meat
30.
Lovers Club, the dinner. You got to get in on the dinner.
Yes.
I am 3D printing. It's going to take me 2.5 months to 3D print all the main swag item you're going to get for the Red Meat Lovers Club dinner, and everyone is going to be jealous when you get when they see you with the 3D with what I'm making for the Red Meat Lovers Club. It's fucking amazing.
Guys, if you
So-
have not been to a TGS and you've only been virtual, this is the year you're going to want to go. This
Yeah.
is the 20th. Abe, I can tell you, is going to pull out everything out of his book he can to make this the best year for TGS. So tickets go on sale at the very beginning of November. Be on the lookout for them. Join the queue early. Don't wait. Buy your VIP ticket, buy your table, buy the virtual, buy the standard pass, whatever you guys want to get in that queue early to make sure that you will have a spot at the greatest show on earth, right? That's what he's calling it. So
that's it.
Until we see you all again, smoke what you like, smoke as often as you can, and have a great rest of your week. Bye, everyone.
We'll see you.